Let me give you a background, first of all, on the project, and I'll answer questions. As you know, the 89 bridge is in disrepair. The bridge problem was discovered when a vehicle actually was driving over it, and they thought they'd hit a pothole, but they called the police. The police came and checked it out, and they found actually a hole in the deterioration of the bridge. The bridge was built in 1899. It's a flagstone bridge, and it's literally a flagstone bridge like this that then has been built on top of, and the city has run their gas lines and their sewer lines and their water lines, and on top of that has been a roadbed that, you know, people pass over and never even realize that there's a bridge there, including DOT officials. So, after the DOT, the Division of Transportation officials, inspected the underside of the bridge, they gave the city their report, and the entire bridge then was closed down at 4 p.m. a week later on Friday. In between that, the south lane was closed where the hole was, and the north lane was open. It wasn't that the bridge was in danger, somebody was in danger of falling in, but it was deterioration, and both the DOT and the city will always err in the side of safety, and especially with the big semi-traffic that goes through South Main Street, we decided that we would just close the bridge in its entirety. DOT did not say that it was needed to be closed and was in danger, but they wouldn't at the same time give their blessing on allowing it to remain open. So we closed the bridge to err in the side of citizen safety. Over the weekend, on Saturday, Sunday, city staff and DOT inspectors kept a close eye on the bridge for further deterioration. No deterioration was found. At the same time, we were projecting rains, and rains were coming, and we opened the dam completely, so we had the full torrent of water coming out, which also made us check the bridge more closely because we had all that water rushing underneath it. Monday at 9 a.m., city staff, myself, Councilman Rudy Schar, DOT officials, and Senator Fitzgerald met to discuss the entire rebuild of South Main Street. This was a meeting that we had planned some weeks ago, and the senator had agreed to come out to the city and see it, and the representative Clayfish was supposed to be here, but he had another commitment and couldn't come and has been rescheduled. And we were looking at the rebuild from the Madison Street at BP all the way out to the south end of town. Well, obviously the bridge came up under discussion during that meeting. That was at 9 o'clock. At 10 o'clock we had a meeting scheduled just to talk about the bridge with the DOT officials. At that meeting, it started out with this would be a repair of the bridge and that it was all city taxpayers' expense. We pointed out that the road would be rebuilt in maybe 6 years. That's when we're scheduled for 2020. And we'd have to tear out everything that we did in 2013, wasting all that money on the repair. DOT bought into that. They agreed to not do a repair, but to do a total build, bridge reconstruction, as if it would be if we were doing all of South Main. Which in the future, when we do South Main, we won't have to do anything with the bridge, because it will have been done in 2013. Now, that became important because the road, if it had been repaired, would have been all our expense as a city, and now the state is picking up the majority of the bill. At the meeting that was held an hour later, the officials agreed. They made it an emergency repair. Those funds will come from the state, as this is a state highway, and it required Governor Walker to sign a release for those funds. Incredibly, Governor Walker signed that immediately, and by 10:30 on Monday, while we were still meeting, he had already put his signature on the paper releasing the funds for Lake Mills. DOT took over the project at that event and at that point, and the flow that occurred is the following. Monday, we're meeting Monday morning. Monday afternoon, contractors that DOT have on an emergency contract list. These contractors have proven that they can work with the department, they know the paperwork required, they have the manpower and the equipment to do massive jobs in a short period of time. We're notified that there was a potential situation that they could put a quote in on. Bids were not required, only a quote. Quote's basically like a bid, but technically different. It says what the bottom line on the cost will be and everything that they will do. So they were notified on Monday afternoon. Tuesday, the engineering firm got the plans to those contractors that had responded back to say they were interested. They had 2.5 days, or until 4 p.m. today, Thursday, to get the quotes to the DOT officials. We never see them as a city. They went directly to the DOT officials, electronically submitted. And tomorrow, Friday morning, DOT officials will review the quotes and select a contractor. Work on the project must begin on Monday, and the contractors were asked to give 2 quotes. A quote for 14 days, and the road is open. And another quote, which I expect DOT to accept, which will be 21 days, because obviously that's probably a cheaper quote than an emergency 14-day quote. But either 14 or 21 days from Monday, the bridge will be reopened, because the road will be done. The contractor will then be given 7 additional days to complete incidentals, but that doesn't affect the flow of traffic on the highway. Then on Tuesday night, a special council meeting that I called on Monday and was noticed properly in the paper for 24 hours. Tuesday night, the council unanimously passed a memorandum of understanding. This is a reconstruction project, it is not a repair project, and it is estimated that the reconstruction of the bridge will come in excess of $611,000, of which the city will only have to pay between $45,000 and $50,000 of the total. So it's a good deal that way. And you said before, someone here in the room just mentioned before the camera went on, that you thought it was kind of a timely thing to have had happen. It is, in the sense that now we can get the bridge reconstructed without the city having to absorb the repair costs, and we have the bridge ready for when we do the rest of South Main Street. So let me talk about the fence, because some people seeing this might wonder about the decorative fence that was put up over the bridge. That fence will be taken down. It will be put by the contractor of choice. It will be moved to the city building where it will be stored, and it will then, who knows, maybe a year in storage. It will then come back out to be put somewhere else, in all probability, and not on the bridge itself, because it will be a whole different look at that point. And I want to work closely with the Arts Alliance to see where we put it. I've already been in a lot of communications with the Arts Alliance at this point between the weekend and now. Another point you might have is on the dam and the water coming out of the dam. And I personally talked with the DNR people that are in charge of that, and they've given us permission to flex the water level as needed to have a safe environment for the workers to rebuild the bridge, because they have to be down underneath, as well as watching carefully the water levels so they don't do damage to riparian owners. So we're working on that, and right now Mother Nature's not helping, dumping lots of water on it. I think we're up to 4 inches in my backyard anyway, according to my backyard rain gauge. And so we're running full flow out of the lake through the bridge, or through the dam under the bridge, to reduce the water levels in the lake, and just trying to keep status quo at this point and hoping it will dry up soon. So I open it for questions. Question on opening of the signs for downtown. We originally had the county and the state, because it's a state highway, the county and the state put up the detour signs. The detour brought the traffic through town, and traffic, by traffic I mean the semi-traffic, and it was coming in and being routed through town and then south of town. Some complaints came in on that. That was passed along by city staff to the state, and the state DOT made the decision to put interstate signs up that would move all semi-traffic, it was what the intent was, to Johnson's Creek and take it down 26. It doesn't appear that way, it just says you have to go that way, and there was some confusion. Delivery trucks were going all the way to Johnson's Creek and then coming back on Highway B, and we had to work on correcting that. And then business people were asking for business as usual downtown, and Kate and Katie brought that to my attention, and I proceeded to talk to Steve, because this was a DOT state highway, and we had to get their permission to put up a sign simply that says business open ahead. You can't put any signs on state highway without state permission. So we did that. Steve did that and got the permission for that. In the meantime, I talked to the streets department head, and we have found that we had 2 signs of our own. The state was contacted, and they had 2 signs that they could loan to us, and 2 more signs were being made purchased by the city to put up. So we had 6 signs at that point. We felt that we could cover the corridors coming into town. And that's the ones you see. I know I've seen the one coming in from Milford on Mulberry Street. I've seen the one coming in off the interstate at the light. Those are the only 2 that I've checked out because I happen to be driving that way. But that's where we're at right now with the signage. And of course, Kate and I this afternoon worked on the press release to get out, or Katie and I did, and so we have that going out. I suggested to Katie that she talked to Kate regarding the chamber possibly putting something up, and I don't know if she's done that with you yet, on the legendary Lake Mills sign that we have, because we can't stick something on the interstate. I tried to call the interstate office, they were closed, and so I will call them in the morning to see what we can do about putting a sign actually on the interstate that says business is open. I don't know if we can do that, doubtful, but at least I thought we could put one on the Tyranina sign, you know, legendary Lake Mills, and then people hopefully would see that. So,